the time of this video, the 2025 Las Vegas Raiders are 2-13, headed for another losing season after getting blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles. The Raiders, desperate for answers, fired offensive coordinator Chip Kelly and their special teams coach, changed quarterbacks and started playing rookies, but to no avail. Despite bringing in a Hall of Fame coach in Pete Carroll and the well-regarded John Spytek as GM, the team looks even worse than in previous seasons. Raider fans have been hungry for success, but the team hasn't won a playoff game since the 2002 season. Since that time, they've only made the playoffs twice. When a team struggles this long and this badly, despite coaches like Carroll, John Gruden, and Jack Del Rio, players like Maxx Crosby, Brock Bowers, and Khalil Mack, the problem is deeper than just strategy and personnel. Simply, the Raiders have a losing culture, and until that culture changes, it's unlikely that long-term success can be achieved. Winning culture in the business world is usually marked by extraordinary leadership that empowers everyone in the organization. In the sports world, that means owners, coaches, and general managers that make the right decisions and get the most out of players. Raiders leadership, despite their past success at other teams, hasn't done that. Pete Carroll, upon joining the Raiders, strongly mentioned competition. Yet this Raiders team appears to be bereft of competitive spirit. Geno Smith played poorly for weeks, yet the team only made a quarterback change when Smith was injured. The offensive line has been even worse, but the Raiders took weeks to start their 2025 draft picks at the line. Jackson Powers Johnson, despite an incredible rookie season in 24, has been moved around and not embedded at center as he probably should have been. This year's Raiders did little to run with Carroll's concept of competitiveness. We've already done a video on Josh McDaniels on this channel, so there's no need to rehash his failings here in full detail. His biggest mistake was cutting Derek Carr and filling that position with Jimmy Garoppolo. Carr may not have been Super Bowl caliber, but he's been the Raiders' best QB since Rich Gannon. I'm all for looking for the next QB, but McDaniels had no clear transition plan in place. And that brings us to John Gruden. Raider fans on the whole look favorably back on the Gruden years, but his second run with the Raiders was marked by constant examples of poor leadership. Gruden traded key draft assets for Antonio Brown, who in his short time with the Raiders was nothing but a disruption. He drafted low-character players like Henry Ruggs and Damon Arnett using first-round picks, yet both were gone before seeing their third seasons. Perhaps worst of all was Gruden's treatment of Khalil Mack, the Raiders' best player at the time and leader on the defensive front. It seemed that from the start, Gruden had it out for Mack. While the team may have not been able to afford extending Mack, Gruden's tenure with the Raiders started with immediate conflict with his best player. And that brings us finally to Mark Davis. As I've mentioned, Mark has invested a ton in this team, paid handsomely for coaches, and moved the team to a more profitable city. On paper, he seems like a great owner. But Mark's biggest contribution to the Raiders' losing culture is his habit of constant disruption. It seems that every coach has a mere 18 months to turn the team around. That's hardly enough time to put an imprint on the franchise. Jack Del Rio was fired on the heels of Derek Carr's best season. Gruden was brought on only to have past email communications derail his time with the team. Antonio Pierce had the Raiders playing hard, but he was fired after just one full season. Aside from coaches, Davis's move to Vegas has been met with mixed reactions by the fan base. Yeah, the new stadium is amazing and the extra profit could be invested back into the team, but does Vegas and Allegiant really represent the Raiders? Culturally, this team has been defined by urban neighborhoods and the blue-collar culture of cities like Oakland and LA. In Vegas, they seem like a stiff corporate juggernaut that's just out to sell skyboxes, not put out winners. The Raiders will likely end up with one of the top 2 picks in the 2026 draft. Spytek has done an excellent job freeing up payroll to make significant investments moving forward. The Raiders have a chance to rebuild intelligently, but until their culture changes, those moves may not mean much.